Hello, Jen here, and I have a book haul for you guys. So let's start with the used books that I bought. I have 5 of them, I think, that I bought from another mom here in my town. So I don't know too much about this one. It's The Lost Ones by Sheena Kamal. It just sounded good. I don't know. It's about a female detective, and obviously she is trying to find the lost ones. There really isn't any information on the book. There's no synopsis in the front or anything like that. Just some blurbs on the back that I went by. So they say things like a brave, unflinching heroine and brave, unflinching writing add up to an extraordinary debut. Highly recommended. Someone here actually compares Sheena Kamal to Gillian Flynn, saying she's the next Gillian Flynn. So it just sounded like a book that I would be interested in reading. And so I grabbed The Immortalists. Her copy was really beautiful. It's in pristine condition, so I thought, why not? I haven't read this before, but a lot of people really love it. And basically it's about 4 kids who go to see a traveling psychic or spiritualist. I think it's back in like the 60s or early 70s, and she tells people the day that they're going to die. And so obviously she gives these kids this information, and then the book just kind of follows how their life goes, and if they end up, I guess, if her predictions are right or if they aren't right. So it sounded really interesting, and I know a lot of people love it, so I grabbed it. So the next one I grabbed is The Child by Fiona Barton. I have the Widow, but I haven't read it yet. I also have it in this like beautiful floppy cover. So when I saw this, I thought it's great. It matches, so I might as well grab it. I think this one is about a journalist who is covering a story of a house that was torn down in London, and they find the skeletal remains of a baby, and so she's investigating where that baby comes from, and it ends up being from an old case from like 10 or 15 years ago, and so she's just diving into that case and finding out all the secrets about it. So it sounds good. So the next book I grabbed from her is one that I haven't really heard about before, but it definitely intrigued me. So this is All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker. It's about a girl who is attacked at a party. I think she's just either a young adult or she's a teenager. Actually, it doesn't even really say. But basically what happens is, as part of her therapy to recover from this, she's offered a medication that actually has her forget what happened. So it basically erases those memories. But as she gets home, she realizes that even though she can't remember the trauma, she can still feel it. Emotionally, she hasn't forgotten what happened to her. And so she's trying to recover and deal with those emotions. Her father is really upset about what happened and about how they haven't found this person. And so he's got this ongoing quest for justice and trying to find who did this to his daughter, and her mom just really wants to forget the whole thing. I think they live in a fairly small community, and she just doesn't want to have all of that on her shoulders. So the book is about the relationship between the 3 of them, and how the father wants to figure out what's going on, the mother wants to forget about it, and how that's ruining their marriage. And it's also a psychological thriller, so somewhere along there you're going to figure out, as things unravel, that there's some kind of big mystery or shocking thing that happened. So it sounded really good, and I thought I would definitely give it a try. And the last book that I got from her is Odd Child Out by Jilly McMillan. I don't know too much about this one. Again, it's a thriller, so you don't want to have all of the information. You want to follow the book. But I do know that it's about 2 boys. I'm not sure how old they are, but one ends up being found dead floating in a canal, and his best friend isn't really telling anyone about what might have happened or what had gone on. So it follows the investigator who is trying to figure out everything and figure out what happened. And somewhere later on, that best friend actually goes missing too. And so that just adds to the suspense and really kind of propels him to figure out exactly what happened. So my next set of books come from Costco. I just grabbed 2 of them because I can't resist it. They're really good prices at Costco, actually. So the first one I grabbed is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This one is getting super rave reviews from a lot of the booktubers that I love, and so it just sounds really good. It was too hard not to resist. So basically, this is about a girl who is on her way home. She's driving home across several states, maybe. I'm not sure how far her drive is, but she gets stuck in a blizzard and she has to pull over and wait out the blizzard. And so there's a group of people who have all had to do the same thing. I think they're at a truck stop, and she heads out into the parking lot at some point and notices that there is a little girl trapped in a dog crate or in an animal crate in one of the vehicles. And so I think it's just her trying to figure out what is going on, who does that child belong to, why is the child there, and it just becomes a really volatile situation, and people have said it was really exciting to read and really suspenseful and thrilling, so I'm excited to read it too. This might have to be a March read for me. So the next book that I got at Costco is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. Of course I was going to grab this. I loved The Hate U Give, so I was really excited to get my hands on this book as well. This is about a girl who is a rapper, and I think she's the daughter of a hip-hop star or someone who was set to be really big in the hip-hop world, and then he passes away, and so she wants to follow in his footsteps. But things are kind of crappy at home. Her mom loses her job, so they're worried about, you know, having enough money for food and all that kind of stuff. Worried about eviction, possibly. And then she just decides to pour her heart into a song that she puts out on YouTube, I think. Wherever she puts it out. It ends up going viral, but not in a good way. So it ends up being super controversial, and it's not the fame that she was looking for. And so this is her story of how she overcomes that, overcomes everything going on at home, and really pushes herself to have that #1 hit that's going to help save her and her mom. Then let me have a drink of my coffee before we get into the book outlet books. Isn't that the cutest mug? So the first book that I grabbed from Book Outlet is The Killing Force by Sarah Bladel. I don't know if this is the second book in the series, but it's definitely not the first book. I read the first book in this series. This is the Louise Rick series. She is in Denmark, I think. So I love that whole sort of Scandinavian twist on things. I love watching all the Netflix shows that come from there and reading series from here. So I grabbed this one. They aren't always, every book isn't always the best book when you have a series that's kind of a longer series like that. But I feel like these are great books when you're in a rut or when you're just feeling a bit burnt out, because you're familiar with the characters, and so you kind of have this sense of coming home or this sense of comfort. Even though these books are kind of dark and gory and stuff like that, there's just that sense of familiarity that helps you get through them, and I think can kind of push you out of a rut. So I really liked the character of Louise Rick from the first book, and I'm excited to read this one. I'm not 100% sure about what it is. I think it's just a case of her investigating a missing boy, a 15-year-old boy. So yeah, I'm excited to read it though. I grabbed Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This one has definitely been on my radar for a while. I keep putting it in my cart, and then other things come along, and then at one point they didn't have any, so it fell out of my cart, and so this time when I saw it was back, I grabbed it right away. A lot of people read it last month because lie was the buzzword for the Buzzword Readathon, and they enjoyed it. I think it got a lot of 3 and 4 stars, so that's good. This is about a woman who is in an accident, and she ends up being in a coma, and she wakes up in the hospital, but they don't know that she's awake. So she's awake in her own mind, but she still appears to be in a coma. So she can hear everything that's going on, and I think the story is just about her trying to piece together what's happened. So based on what she's hearing from the people around her, based on her memories from before the accident, she doesn't remember anything after the accident, but a little bit before the accident. And then I think you also get some diary entries from when she was a child. So you flip through those 3 perspectives to come to whatever the conclusion is or whatever the big secret is. So it sounds really good, and it's really short. So I think this is definitely one of those fun thrillers that you can get through pretty quickly. So I'm excited to read that one. Next up, I grabbed The Diviners. I know this is an old book. I haven't read it yet. So when I saw this one, I kind of like this series. They have this title here, or this cover here. And then those are the other 2 covers. So I'll grab those when they come out in paperback. I think they had the second one in hardcover, but not in paperback. So I'll grab all 3. Hopefully I'll be able to get them all matching. I don't know why I haven't read this series yet, but I definitely am going to. This is a lot of people's in their top 5 favorite books. So I got to get on this one. And I have a feeling because of the cover and because of the purple, this is going to be a book that one of my kids picks for me sometime soon. Then I grabbed The Dry by Jane Harper. Again, I don't know why I haven't read this yet. It's one of those books that you hear people talk about and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna grab that, and then I just never have. So I grabbed it this time, again in a big floppy back. They also had the second book out on Book Outlet, but it was a hardcover, so I'll have to wait till it comes in floppy back too. And again, it's a crime novel, I think. Yeah, it's following a detective, Aaron Falk, and I think one of his friends from back home dies, and the whole family is murdered, and he's reluctant to go back home and investigate it, and then he gets a letter basically saying, you know, your friend lied, you better come to the funeral kind of thing. So it sounds really good, and I know a lot of people have been enjoying it. So I'm going to get to this one soon. Then I grabbed The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. This one, again, I haven't read a J.P. Delaney, but I want to. I don't know why I haven't. So this was a really good price, and I grabbed it. I think this is about 2 girls who have gone through some tragedy or some personal traumas, and how they kind of relate to each other, or how their 2 stories intertwine. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I grabbed it. So the next one I grabbed is The First Time She Drowned by Carrie Clutter. This one is a recommendation from Kayla, I think, from Books and Lala. And this is about a girl whose mother has basically raised her to think that she has all kinds of psychological issues and mental health issues, and she ends up putting her in a mental institution. And so the story takes place, I think, as she's turned 18, and she's now able to leave that institution that she's been in for like 2 years. And she's starting to realize that what her mother raised her to believe isn't necessarily the truth. And so she's trying to figure out who she really is and what the truth of her life is. So it sounds really good. That cover is absolutely gorgeous. Green is my favorite color, so I had to pick that up. Next up is Emma in the Night, also by Wendy Walker. I just realized that I have 2 Wendy Walker books in my book haul today. I didn't realize that at the time, but she also wrote All Is Not Forgiven, and there's a whole bunch of praise for All Is Not Forgiven on the back of this book, so that's kind of cool. This was a recommendation by Kayla from Books and Lala. She's talked about this one quite a bit. It is about 2 sisters, actually, who go missing one night, and 3 years or 2 years, 3 years later, the older sister, I think. Oh no, the younger sister comes back. She's literally just wearing the clothes on her back, and that's it, and she suddenly reappears. And so it's about what happened to them, and the psychologist feels like there are holes in her story. There are things missing or things that don't make sense. So it's trying to figure out what happened to these 2 girls and where her sister is. So the next book that I grabbed is Feral Youth. This is a really creative concept for an anthology. I think you could consider it an anthology. So it's written by Sean David Hutchinson and 9 other authors. they're all right there. And basically, so how they've set this up is the story revolves around these teens that are at a camp for troubled youth, and they're kind of left out alone in the wilderness, and they're told to come up with a story. Each of them has to come up with some kind of tale, and there's a cash prize at the end for, I guess, for the story that is the best. So it says, while few of the stories are claimed to be based in truth, they ultimately reveal more about the teller than the truth ever could. So it was inspired by Canterbury Tales, and I think it's going to be really good. So quite a few people have recommended this one to me, so I grabbed it. So the next book that I picked up is When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Maria McLemore. This is just a book that so many people have been recommending and so many people have said that they loved. And it sounds really sweet. It's about two best friends, and these four sisters who are rumored to be witches are trying to get to one of the best friends, and there's this hint of magic to it, and I think it's kind of just a love story between those two best friends and the secrets that they have to kind of reveal to protect each other from these four sisters. It sounds very sweet, and I'm excited to read this one. The last book that I picked up is absolutely stunning. I feel like I'm probably the last person in the world to read it, but I scooped it up as soon as I saw it for an amazing price. So it's Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. How do I explain what this is about? I think this takes place in a world where it says the dream chooses the dreamer, not the other way around. I feel like maybe you dream what your career is going to be, and that's the profession that you choose. And our main character feels like he chose poorly, or his dream chose poorly, because he's a junior librarian, but what he really wanted to be is an explorer, and he's really curious about this lost city of Weep. And so at some point, he ends up actually having the opportunity to travel there and try to find this lost city of Weep and figure out all of the mysteries behind why it got cut off from the rest of the world. So lots of people have loved this. They love the second one that's come out as well. Hopefully Book Outlet will have that one soon, and then I'll be able to have both of them. But I can't wait to get started with this one. So that is it. That's all the books that I picked up in January and February. If you have any questions about any of them, let me know. I can leave the links for Book Outlet down below too, so you can go ahead and take a look. They always have tons of books at really good prices, so especially here in Canada. So yeah, let me know what you thought of all these books and what you have been picking up in the last couple of months. I can't wait to hear what everyone else is buying. And if you have any other book recommendations for me, you can leave them down below as well. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, bye.